Well, hello everybody, it's me, GhostCritic, and I'm here to share my thoughts with you on the comics that I picked up this week. If I get rather red in this video and I start to kind of glisten and sparkle, no, I'm not turning into a Twilight vampire. It's just freaking hot here in the UK. We're having a bit of a heat wave. They tell us that we're going to have torrential rain at the weekend and it can't come much sooner. Daddy needs a downpour. Anyway, you're not here to listen to me moan about the weather. Yeah, to listen to me talk about comics. So let's kick off with two titles that I've either picked up late because I've only just got them, or I heard good things about them, so I thought I'd give it a go. On Wednesday, on my pull list video, you would have seen me show the new issue #1 from Image by the Walking Dead guy, Kirkman, and I did approach this title with a little bit of trepidation. One of our fellow YouTubers here in the community said he really didn't like this, and it's a guy that I really kind of like look to for good recommendations. When he says it's bad, it usually is bad. When he says I must read this or I must watch this, it's usually worth watching. So coming into this title, I was like, am I gonna like this? Is this gonna be the title that tears us apart? And kind of yes and kind of no. Look, it's The Exorcist basically, with some kind of magically powered blood thrown in the mix as we go along. We've got our main kind of character, Kyle, who we've got on the cover here, and he's very much a genre kind of character plot line in that something really bad happened to him when he was young. Now he doesn't want contact with anybody, but obviously something's going to pull him back in, and it certainly does in this issue. I got very confused throughout this title. I wasn't sure whether I was reading and looking at flashbacks of his life, whether I was seeing scenes from this boy in the farm that has supposedly been possessed by a demon, and it just all got very confusing who I was actually looking at and whose history or whose present this was. So that didn't help. And towards the end of it, we kind of get this demon being expelled from the body of a child. Does the demon escape? Does it just, has this magic blood destroyed it? It just kind of cuts from one scene where we see the kind of enormity and the scariness of this kind of demon floating up on the ceiling, and then we cut to a scene where it just seems to have vanished. It's gone. And we get no idea whether that is still alive and just disappeared to find someone else, or that Kyle actually had destroyed it. There's a little bit of family drama going on in here as well with his sister and his sister's husband, who clearly doesn't like him and just happens to be the cop of the town. So I'm sure there's going to be some friction between those two characters. The saving grace really for this is the artwork in here. Artist and colorist, we have artist Azasita and colorist Breitweiser. They really do kind of invoke a very dark and kind of spooky and creepy atmosphere to the book. Just taking a look at the kid's face kind of sends shivers down your spine from panel to panel. So in effect, that was really its saving grace. But apart from that, for a bumper first issue, something from Kirkman, it was a little lackluster. So I'm catching up on Stray Bullets. I'm only here on issue 3. I know issue 5 came out this week. Get over it. This is where I'm at, unfortunately. Not my fault. But with Stray Bullets issue 3, and with pretty much every issue of Stray Bullets, I do feel kind of bad about enjoying this title. Not because it's a terrible title at all, but really because there's nothing inside there that you should be liking. We have these horrible, despicable characters. There's no one really that you want to side with. Nothing ever ends well, and people always end up getting hurt in this title. So it's kind of like admitting you're into S&M. It's kind of painful, but the pain is good. I don't believe I just said that. But really, pick this title up, support this book, because it is a very good, well-told, tight storyline from David Lapham. And he does it all. He does the writing, he does the artwork. It is in black and white. That is no detriment to the book at all. I just have a lot of fun with this book. I really shouldn't. Moving on to Umbral, issue number 7. And again, it's another issue that kind of treads the familiar fantasy path. In this issue, our group that are on the run decide to make a pit stop and rest, basically, in a place that they think is safe, but, well, you know it isn't going to be. These guys are not going to get any sort of respite in this journey, wherever they are going with the kind of, is it the Umbral jewel that Rascal is carrying along with her. We kind of find out that there could potentially be a traitor in their midst. So that kind of spreads mistrust between the group. There's that kind of cliched scene where it's like, oh, you were gone for X amount of time, what were you up to? Yeah, but you weren't there when this happened, what were you up to? It's kind of cliched and, you know, hardly an original plot device, but it's there to try and move the story along and hopefully make the story more interesting. As if having these kind of demons after our Rascal, we now have, what are they called? The Kin of the Whispered Blade out to get her now. And they don't look to be very nice people either, so it's really not looking too good for Rascal. Visually, it's really good. It strikes the right tone for a dark fantasy tale, but you can't get away with just looks alone with a book like this. And dealing with a dark fantasy genre, you've got to be very careful that you don't just pick the cliched set rules of a fantasy novel. I've read a lot of them, and every time I pick up an issue of Umbral, I'm reminded of a fantasy novel that I've read in the past. It needs to do something. There needs to be a big twist. There needs to be a big plug of originality in this title for me to want to keep getting it. So we'll see. You know what I'm like. I'm stubborn. I will keep hold of a book for probably much longer than is necessary. But that's just me. Fables, issue 142, with this rather horrific cover. And as Custom Bromstar Scott pointed out, that almost looks like it says rabies rather than Fables. But this was an interesting issue for me, and any kind of long-term readers of Fables may agree with me here, because very, very early on in the Fables run, the Monday world, that's what they call our world, did feature quite a lot in the storylines and the attempts that the Fables town went to make sure that they weren't discovered. And that kind of storyline, that kind of device got lost or forgotten for a long, long time. Until this issue. What we have now is, this is Bigby on the front. He is returned, a rather unhinged Bigby, but back nonetheless. But he's roaming the Monday world and he's causing a bit of a panic. He is not himself, obviously, and he's killing people left, right and centre, Monday folk and Fables folk alike. So it's not looking too good, and that's where the Fables come in and decide, right, we know that Bigby's back now. We've got to either take him down or get him back to Fabletown and, you know, sort him out, get him back to the good old Bigby that we know. It would seem that one of Snow's kids is amassing a secret army of her own, maybe in preparation for the oncoming big battle that is foreshadowed here between Rose Red and Snow White. We have this kind of mashup Arthurian legend storyline going through this last story arc. Only the characters of like kind of Arthur and Guinevere and such like, they kind of been given to even different sexes. Rose Red seems to be playing the part of King Arthur. We've already seen her amassing her knights around the round table. But this is getting really exciting and fun towards the end. So, as always, Fables great. I wouldn't really suggest jumping on now with only 8 more issues to go, but I do highly recommend you go back to the very start. Not expecting you to pick up the singles, but pick up the trades. There are plenty to pick from, but obviously start from the beginning, you're missing out. Our weekly look at Batman Eternal comes this week again with issue 15. An interesting cover here. We have obviously Batwoman to our right, Harper and Red Robin to our left, and Batwing in the middle appearing to be drowning. While the story finally focuses mainly on Batwing and the Spectre getting inside Arkham Asylum, we do take a few pit stops with other characters and their storylines as we go along. So we have the Red Robin and Harper, we drop in on them. Robin has finally made it to, I think it's Tokyo. He's always known, obviously, that Harper is in the back, but doesn't let her know until they get to their destination. Harper wants to play too. She wants to come on with Red Robin and find out what's going on with all these nanobots, but obviously Red Robin thinks she's a complete amateur and will just hold him back. We've got a brief meeting with Bard and Batman, and I just know Batman is onto Bard. When we know from the last issue that Bard isn't as squeaky clean as he appears to be, and that his methods in bringing down the bad guys aren't really, well, not at all in line with Batman's. So while Bard is going around breaking up all these gangs of Falcones now, I think Batman is watching. He may not be participating, but he's keeping an eye on Bard along the way. So little snippet there. we get Batgirl and Red Hood with a brief cameo from Batwoman. That part of the storyline for me was just a complete throwaway. It didn't need to be in there. It didn't lead us anywhere. It didn't reveal to us anything particularly new or important that we needed to know right then. And it just seemed to be a point to bring Batwoman in. It just didn't really make a lot of sense. But the main focus of this story, like I said, is Batwing and the Spectre inside Arkham Asylum to see what's going on. Obviously, when they get in there, we have total chaos. The lunatics are running the asylum, as they say. And it's all very creepy. It's all very tense. And by the end of this issue, neither of the characters are in a very good place, having been split up. I'm now going to give up in trying to work out a time frame for these storylines that are going through on Batman Eternal. We can't have been... Well, Batwing and the Spectre cannot have been waiting outside Arkham Asylum for the last 3 or 4 issues until now. Too much time has gone on and too many events have gone on for this to be happening at the same time. So I've given up trying to work that out. I don't think there is one, and we are just picking up these character storylines as and when Snyder and Tynion fit them in. The other thing that kind of irks me, I guess, is kind of in a good way and it's kind of in a bad way, but I just feel that I should know more about certain things that are going on. That includes kind of characters that get used too. Right at the very end, we get a character called Mr. Bygone. Now, is he a new character? I've read quite a lot of Batman, and I've never heard of this character before. Should I? Does he go back so far? And this is kind of Snyder using one of the kind of classic Golden Age kind of characters, but bringing him up to date. I don't know. But I should then go and find out. It's a book that kind of lends itself to the reader having to do a little bit of research and investigation themselves to get the most out of Batman Eternal. So in that way, it is quite a good thing, but I can see how it would put off a lot of new readers. And, you know, we are up to issue 15. It's only been a few months since this has been out. But will that kind of storytelling be enough to keep new and old readers on for the 60 odd issues that we're looking at in this Batman Eternal series? Time will tell. And finally, it's Capn Dinosaur! Or to give it its full title, it's Capn Dinosaur and the Carnival of Crime. This is a writer, Kek W and Shaky Kane, doing their kind of psychedelic cop crime one-shot story. And as usual, it's a ton of fun. There may not be any kind of storyline. There is a storyline here, but don't expect it to make much sense. Don't expect to have it be really deep or to have an ending as such. Well, I mean, it does have a proper ending, I guess, but it's all very random. It's all very surreal. We have Capn Dinosaur and his beautiful sidekick Honeymoon going up against a variety of kind of crazy, occult, supernatural baddies. We have Swami Midnight, Muscle Mary, Wolfman Jack, the 6 foot, the 60 foot, and the flea-sized Frankensteins. They are the funniest. And these are all being led by Citizen Sputnik. Now, why they're all together, what they're really up to, it's not really explained. They just seem to be firing people into the sky and letting them fall to their deaths. There doesn't seem to be much depth behind this storyline. But as always with these kind of shaky cane one-shots, it's a whole lot of fun. The colours are bright, they're bold, they're fun. It kind of remind you of like a bygone era, kind of Silver Age type trippy affair, and I just lap these one-shots up, and I'm so glad that my comic book guy gets these in store, because I never know when they're coming out from one month to the next. So fortunately I've not managed to miss one of these just yet. Have fun with it, go pick it up, it's a one-shot, what have you got to lose? Okay, we're done for the week. Hopefully it's going to cool down, mop the sweat from my brow, and let's see, tell you all to have a great weekend. I hope if you are in the UK it cools down for you, because this is uncomfortable. Anyway, if you are new to my channel, you just like what you saw and you want to see some more videos, because on Monday I do a question of the week video, on Wednesday I let you know what I picked up that week, and obviously Fridays, as you've just seen, I review the comics that I pick up that week. So hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and let me know what you thought about the reviews of my issues, or tell me about what you picked up and why you thought they were good in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you again next week.